A 14, 12-player deal orchestrated by Knicks, orchestrated by the Knicks and Ewing's agent David Falk.
David Falk really was like the Rich Paul that day, huh? He owned every.
Yes.
He was like
There's
everybody.
nothing. There's nothing new about the super agent. What Rich Paul is doing now is because David Falk was Michael Jordan's agent, so Rich Paul is LeBron James' agent.
Here's my thing: would David Falk funnel players into Jordan's team though? That's the only difference to me.
They didn't have the leverage
Yes,
like
I'm saying.
with
Leverage
LeBron.
and the pick and rolls.
He couldn't pick and roll his way into getting these. But look, remember, he threatened. Jordan did threaten. That's why I hate hear these conversations about how loyal Jordan was or Kobe was. Jordan did threaten the Bulls and say he's going to join Patrick Ewing in New York.
What year was that? Was that before he was winning rings?
No, that was when he came back. That was 97. I was 98. When he was restructuring his deal. Those last 3 years,
Oh,
Jordan was making.
it was leverage for contract, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so do you think he was using it as a threat, just like Kobe with the Bulls?
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, that was almost a done deal.
that was almost. He really was thing, but
Right. But
you
he
know, it
had
never
to
happened.
use.
Kupchak did his thing,
But
got
Jordan
piled up.
had to. But you see, just by looking up this trade right now, you can see how him mentioning the Knicks is the Patrick Ewing connection, which also the David Falk connection, because Falk is Ewing's agent. He orchestrates this deal for 12-player deal. It'll send future Hall of Fame center to the Supersonics. General manager Scott Layden. Wow, I hated his guts.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks will receive the sharpshooting Los Angeles forward Glenn Rice. The Lakers backup center Travis Knight. The Phoenix Sun center Luke Longley. The Knicks got Luke Longley, Travis Knight, and Glenn Rice. I only remember Travis Knight being on our team. In addition, they will receive peripheral guards players Vernon Maxwell. I didn't realize he was still playing back then. Vladimir Stepania, I remember him. And the first round pick, second round picks in 2001 from Seattle, as well as the Lakers' first round pick in 2001. The Knicks also sent Chris Dudley, their backup center, and a first round pick to Phoenix in 2001. The Lakers received Horace Grant, Greg Foster, Emmanuel Davis, and Chuck Person from Seattle.
Wow,
That's how they got Horace Grant?
I
Wow.
didn't even know that. That's actually great stuff.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, wow.
So they traded Patrick Ewing to Seattle, and that was a horrible deal.
How'd you feel about that? Like, wasn't that like your childhood hero?
It felt like this just the end of an era, and like you were kind of like in denial about it.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. I mean, I'd assume you guys got really close with you. I mean, you went through all the ups and downs with that guy, and then to see him in another uniform, I just sounds like it sucks. Because I mean, yeah, it just kind of sounds like it just sounds like it sucks.
It was he got hurt that finals run. He had gotten hurt, and even I think 2 years before the final was that when he broke his wrist against the Milwaukee Bucks. He broke his wrist against the Milwaukee Bucks. He landed underneath the basket and he like pushed away to so he can land next to the padding behind
Basket.
the basket. I remember that vividly. I was in my Aunt Angela's house and I remember watching it like, oh damn. And it wasn't like people were shitting on us, like I said about Patrick Ewing, but that's still our dude. Like without him, he's the anchor. So by the time 2001 came around, I didn't fully understand everything. I didn't fully understand the business side of things. Glenn Rice being there, like what were we really gonna do? That was 2001. So from between '01 and '06, when Isaiah Thomas comes in there, I mean they were horrible. But I'm trying to remember. I know Allen Houston. I think it was that year he gave Kobe 50. He gave the
I've
Lakers
seen
50.
highlights of that.
Yeah, it
He's got a
was
nice shot.
that's the best form of all time. I don't know who has a better form. We were talking about that with JP earlier. I think
Who's So wait, when you said Patrick Ewing, like everybody gives him shit, is that like Knicks fans or is that the opposing? Why? Because
yeah,
he didn't win a championship and he missed that layup.
he missed the layup. He had 1 point. They felt like he wasn't clutch. Charles Oakley just came out and said he was soft. He was basically not much of a leader.
Yeah, I know. I heard that was crazy to hear that.
I think it's stupid.
Do you think?
So
Yeah, go for it.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think if Pat had a bona fide second star that he would have won a championship, or do you
Of
think he's
course,
still? Oh, really?
hell yeah. We went to 7 games
That
against
star
Houston.
worse Worse than him, though. I'm saying.
A star worse. Like who? I mean,
Like I like a Glenn Rice or like Latrell Sprewell in his prime or in his young years with.
we would have beat the Rockets. We would have
Okay.
beat the Rockets. Like I hear Kenny
Well,
Smith,
the thing is, the Rockets didn't really like. I guess you can say Otis Thorpe, but that '94 team didn't really have a true second star that year either. It was pretty
no,
fair in terms of the matchup.
they were ahead of their time in terms of if you see how many 3-point. There's a video I actually copied from Ben Taylor, and it was like from 92 to 95 or 96. The Rockets were increasing the amount of 3-point field goals that they were taking. They
Hmm.
had like two or three guards on the court, three guards on the court with Akeem Olajuwon at the time because they knew he could kick it out. So they were amazing at that. So that's why I say with Sprewell, you have an athletic guard who's anchored by someone who can play defense. Patrick Ewing set the record for blocks in a championship against Akeem Olajuwon. Like there are certain things people forget. He lost
That's great.
his
In the
athleticism
single game or in the whole series?
in the series for a
Oh wow. Well,
championship.
I guarantee. Just a footnote, even though that's extremely impressive, that Wilt and Bill Russell, with if blocks were calculated, definitely have the record for a finals. There's no doubt. But
Probably,
that's impressive. I didn't even know that,
but it's
especially
the
against
fact
Akeem.
the fact that we don't have a statue of him is insane.
There's no statues though. There are no statues, are
There
there?
should be. There should be
Willis Reed and
because
Clyde Frazier don't have any.
they should have statues as well. It's Clyde Frazier.
I know, but like the thing is, MSG is like by Penn Station. Like, is there? Do you know an ideal spot out there?
I mean, when you're walking in the stadium, like
Yeah, you can figure it out. They can figure it
yeah,
out.
like it's what I'm saying is it's more slander towards somebody like that. That slander should be over with. It's not like with Melo, which we're gonna do in a second. It's
Yeah,
not like with Melo where
I
he
just don't
went
think
to a
Melo's the best.
finals. He
Yeah,
went to a finals. He went to several conference finals.
yeah, I know the Melo. We're gonna talk about it right now, but I just don't think he was ever the best player on a championship team ever.
N- No, and I don't know if
Ever.
Patrick Ewing was gonna be even with Sprewell there, but that's the difference. Like they treat Ewing so badly about like even with David Robinson. What did David Robinson do before Tim Duncan was there?
That's what I'm saying. He's in the same boat. Him, all these guys are that played in Georgia.
No,
Like,
he's not. Again, Akeem
like
Olajuwon did not
besides,
do to Patrick Ewing what he did to David Robinson.
okay,
We the same playoffs. The same playoffs. I think that was the year
no,
that
next year.
that was the following season.
Yeah, following season.
All right. Well, he it was embarrassing what he did to David. He didn't respect David Robinson whatsoever. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't kill Patrick Ewing. Of course he did, but he's not looked at the same way. He's not.
Mhm.
That's part of the reason why and don't get me wrong. At the time, I probably was shitting on Patrick Ewing for coming up short. Up until too many Knicks fans started like even after the trade, like, yo, you didn't feel like something come to an end. I'm gonna argue with my boy about that. Like, he would rather have David Robinson. I'm like, are you sure about that? Like, what if Patrick Ewing had Tim Duncan to end off his career? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
It's so
he could have
different.
easily, if he had him in '99 instead of Duncan being on the Spurs in 1999 and he was on the Knicks, they win.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what are we talking about right now? So it was unfair, and it came to it was definitely it felt like an ending, especially when you see him on the Supersonics. It just felt like that's what it used to be. Now that I think about it, we're so used to Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, all the superstars of the last 10 years, Kawhi Leonard, all the superstars are going to different teams in their prime. The only time that happened with the superstars back in the day was when they were old. Charles Barkley, towards the end of his career.
Oh man,
Even
I've seen people on Twitter talk about Charles Barkley has no right to criticize super teams because he went. It was like, and he always says the same thing. He's like, we were 105 years old back then. Like he was like, we were, like he says the same, and I feel him on that. Like I need to see the timeline, but I can assume that he's telling the truth, and that's what people say. Although I do know that in 1997 they had a really good chance, and then Stockton did him dirty in the end.
that was that the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, I believe so.
He hit the game
I'm
winner.
excited for that series. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Yeah.
That's a series winner. That ended the
I
series.
know. Yeah, that's crazy. That's so clutch. People don't talk about that enough with Stockton. He's another player that gets a ton of disrespect on Twitter. He's white, but you saw him, so
He was just I didn't even understand. It's like you said, it's like you're saying with him. He was so maybe like with Patrick Ewing also. He's overlooked, he's taken for granted.
That's a
He
good
can-
one. What if John Stockton was your second best player? You think you
like,
could beat the Bulls
if he was on the Knicks instead of whoever,
instead of like Derek Harper?
uh,
90. I need to look at you guys' rosters. You know what I mean? Like I gotta look at you guys' roster. It's tough. The Bulls are really good.
when you watch the game, you're gonna see like why the Bull like Jordan is Jordan. You know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
excited.
yeah, to go to 7 games,
That's crazy. You guys really took them to 7 games though.
yeah, because they were built like the Pistons, but the Pistons did not have a center like Patrick Ewing.